Okay, my name is Gracie Rumsey, and my group, we did our presentation on emotional disturbances. So, to start out, we have this picture of these kids getting ready for school, and our question was, can you spot the disabilities? These kids just like normal, look like normal kids getting ready for school, but actually, each of them has some sort of disorder that hinders their learning. So the girl on the very far left has a visual impairment that was caused by trauma. The two boys in the middle are both diagnosed with disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, which is a type of emotional disorder that we will talk about today. And one of them also has a learning disability. The older girl struggles with a speech impairment, and then the older boy struggles with anxiety, which is another emotional disturbance that we're going to talk about in our presentation. So, what characterizes emotional disturbances? One thing is the student's inability to learn, and their inability to learn that cannot be explained by other factors. Also, their inability to build and maintain interpersonal relationships. They have inappropriate behavior or feelings under normal circumstances. They have a general mood of unhappiness. They have a tendency to develop physical symptoms or fears with problems. And most of these signs cannot be recognized until the child has an outburst or they have a change in their schooling. So emotional disturbances also have a variety of causes. Some of them are preterm birth and trauma, but some of them we just don't know the cause. Emotional disturbances are also a unique disability because they can happen throughout a person's lifetime. They can come and go, and also the public health reports estimated that 1 in 10 people have a serious emotional disturbance at some point in their life. So they are really common, and a lot of people have to deal with them. So some more common names for emotional disturbances are anxiety disorder, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder or OCD, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and disruptive mood dysregulation disorder or DMDD. And so because there's so many of them, we've chosen just to focus on anxiety disorders and disruptive mood dysregulation disorder in our presentation today. So first we'll start with anxiety disorders. Some characteristics of anxiety disorders are the child has a hard time retaining or recovering information that they've learned. They also have disruptive outbursts. They struggle with relationships with teachers and peers. And oftentimes it shows physically in a way that seems unrelated to the anxiety. For example, this boy in our picture suffers from anxiety. And one way that he shows his anxiety is by licking his lips. And so we can tell that he has been overly anxious because he has that rash around his lips. Other children show it in different ways, like they have stomach aches or shaking, or they stutter. Ways like that just seem unrelated to anxiety, but are linked to their diagnosis of anxiety. Some classroom challenges that come from having students with anxiety are just their disruptive outbursts in the classroom that can disrupt the teacher and the students and cause the focus of the classroom to have to change. And other problems can be their quietness, their lack of participation. They could bullying towards the student and other just minorly disruptive behaviors. And so some things that a teacher can do to help students with anxiety are to breathe deeply with the student, help them release some of that stress. They can do yoga exercises or other physical activity to help get them moving. One that I think is super important is to provide a safe environment, just a place where the student doesn't have added stresses. There's no triggers that can cause those outbursts, and just a place where the student feels safe and comfortable. Also encourage healthy eating and sleeping habits. allow students to use sensory tools, and also plan to have breaks and relaxing time so that you're not overloading the student, they're not becoming overly stressed with their workload. So next we'll talk about disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. Some characteristics are severe and reoccurrent outbursts that happen 3 or more times a week, and in between these outbursts the student is irritable and angry. These symptoms occur in at least 2 settings, so home or school or with their friends, and usually this lasts for 12 or more months. And like we see in this picture here, after a child has an outburst with DMDD, usually they're really tired and they will just crash. Some challenges that come in the classroom with students who have DMDD are just the mood swings and the energy changes that can affect the whole class. Some other problems are aggression, destruction of property, deceitfulness, lying, stealing, and or rule violation. So pretty much just acting out of the student. Some tips for teaching are emotional and behavioral support, providing them with that support that they need to be able to deal with their emotional disturbance, helping them develop social skills so that they can be able to express their feelings better, and also so that they can be able to create relationships with other people that can help them increase their self-awareness so that they understand how they're feeling and why they're feeling the way they're feeling, and then next help them increase their self-control so that once they understand that, they know how to control it and how to deal with their emotions in a positive way. Also help them build self-esteem, be their advocate, be their cheerleader, make them feel loved and good about themselves, and also provide positive behavioral support. Next, we just have some resources that are good for any emotional disturbance. Parents and caregivers, obviously we hope that every student has a good home life and has parents or guardians that are aware of their emotional needs and are able to provide for them in a way that they can help them deal with their emotional needs. But that's not always the case, and so I feel like when that's not the case, a lot of the responsibility falls on the teacher, because that's where the student spends a lot of their time, and a teacher can do a lot to really help with a student's emotional health. Other sources of help are counselors, psychiatrists, and occupational therapists. And usually if a student is already diagnosed with an emotional disturbance, they will already have someone like this helping them. And in that case, for a teacher, those people are good resources to go to be able to learn more about the students, just what they're going through and how as a teacher we can help them, and just to become more educated on that. If a student isn't diagnosed, then hopefully there's like a family advocate or a service coordinator that can help get the child diagnosed so that they can get the help that they need to be able to deal with that emotional disturbance.